Ba-da! That's 3 in a row. You see that? But
Well,
it's also 3 in a row where Troy is
Troy,
away from his keyboard.
is this
Whenever
one of
we.
those things like uh like if you have an NFL team that you believe will only win if you don't watch them play?
Yes, I think that's it.
Okay.
All the planets have to be aligned exactly in order for
Mm,
this to work out. But
right
thank
on,
you,
right
thank
on.
you. Troy's in the background. He's cleaning his house. This is professional, right? One of us is anyway.
That's good. It's good. It's good.
Hey, we're live. Hi, Troy. By the way, thank you. You corrected me, Girk. That was actually 2 in a row where Troy was not at his keyboard when we went live. Well done.
Well,
Well
a
done.
lot of times we're not live when you say we're going to go live, so.
I knew that was coming. That's thank you, Killalot. Already said that for you. That's
See, he got my back.
that's great. But that's 3 in a row for me. So if it's 3, does that mean that? No, I'm still gonna get a hard time for it. That's fine. It'll be like this is what it is from now on.
Yeah. What should we talk about for these few minutes while we wait for people to settle in here?
We have any news?
Oh,
Or anything
let's
pressing?
let's talk about the things that aren't going to make the cut
Oh,
for our
okay.
topic tonight.
Yeah, right on. And see, we can
So,
get some feedback in chat on it.
yeah. So, chat, tonight we're going to be talking about um, those games that you are kind of on your like dream list to play. In the ideal scenario, if you had the players and you weren't running anything currently, and you had all the prep time in the world, like what would you play? That's the sort of the conversation. Sundays are basically the off Sundays are more like free form typically, and so tonight we're just going to talk about fun systems uh, and things that we'd like to squeeze in sometime in the next 20 years. Um, these are our retirement list,
This
right?
is when we
Like
go to the
bucket list.
D&D
the
old
old
folks home.
folks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When we're
Uh,
in the dungeon master old folks home,
Yep.
and this is
That's
all we
right.
do all day long is complain about
Yeah.
back in our day and play the games we wanted to play.
And then we can run
Exactly.
outside. Get off my lawn!
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So why don't we talk for just a few minutes about let me turn my background music down here. Why don't we talk for just a few minutes about those games that aren't going to make our cuts, fellas?
Oh, okay.
But are like the runner-ups.
I think that should be part of the thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have like a
Honorable
little
mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions there, either
Okay.
before we start or after we're done with the top 3. And, but we can't really just
Okay, well here, then
go in
let's
deep
talk
on 'em.
about this for 2 minutes. Uh, what's up, Mitch? Glad you can make it. Let's do
Ah,
this for our little pre-show. Is there a game, fellas, that you don't want to play? Now, obviously, you can reserve the right to say, well, if someone I know and like was really excited about running it, then I would play it. I would give it a shot. But if there's something like you have zero interest in right now,
That's tough
that
because
is
I'm kind of
tough.
like I'm in a personal renaissance of I'll pretty much try anything that somebody puts in front of me. If you say you should try,
yeah,
that's all I
I'll
really
tell
need.
you one. I'll tell you one.
Yeah.
I don't care at all about the Star Trek game.
Don't let Tim see this.
On the
Ever.
bottom of my list of things that I
Wow.
would willingly play that I can think of right now would be that.
Now, is it a genre
Because
thing or is it an actual system thing?
yeah,
Okay.
because I mean like there's like 8 2D20 settings at this point. I would play any of them before I played the Star Trek
Oh
one.
wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
I don't know, like I like Star Trek okay. Like I enjoy almost every Star Trek movie or TV episode or anything like that that I've ever watched. I just don't have any interest in being a part of that world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think I would play it if it wasn't tied to the Federation.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that
I
might
think you're
be.
right. I think you're partial. I think that, yeah, because if you tried to, if all you said was this is a Star Trek game that isn't tied to this Federation, I might be down actually. Yeah.
Or if because one of the things I always had an issue with as far as the Trek universe, and I get why it was done this way, but still, the away teams. You're not sending your top level officers
Hmm.
on these away teams.
I rolled my eyes every single time they sent the captain, or the captain went down. Like every
The
single time.
captain or Riker.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I mean,
anybody.
Riker makes sense though. Like, if you want like a high-ranking official to go down, you send your second in command, but you never send Picard
for
down.
maybe a political thing, but usually when it's like a search and rescue or something like that, you're going to have like we need like away team number 4. You're going to be assigned to go do this.
I'll tell you what though.
Now,
Yeah.
if you were an away team, that would be interesting because it could be done very similar to like what you got going on with the Dune thing.
Hmm.
You have your stuff on the
Yeah.
ship or the base, but then you've got the actual mission.
Minor sidebar. One of my favorite episodes of Next Generation was Below Decks, the one that was like all the side characters that no one ever knew about.
Mm-hmm.
That was like one of my favorite ones, just because like
And there
Yeah,
isn't there an animated show that's all about that
I'm
right
Below
now?
Decks,
not
yeah.
interested at all
Yeah.
in that animated show,
Uh,
like at all.
I don't like the artwork, but I want to watch it.
Mitch is saying Shadowrun, and Girk is saying Merkborg, which
Merkborg.
I think. Wow, I'm so glad you guys are in chat because like those aren't. Well, this is spoilers perhaps, but those aren't going to make my top list. But I would love to play them. So that you have piqued my curiosity for sure. Yeah, that's fascinating, chat. You fellas thinking of anything else?
I mean,
Anything
I'm
that's
sitting here
like,
racking my
nah.
brain trying to think about something that I wouldn't play. Again, if someone recommended it to me or wanted to play it with me, I probably wouldn't turn them down.
Well,
On-
again, it's not about recommending. It's just about like if you were to walk over to your shelf, or let's remove if you were to walk over to Drive Through RPG right now, and they could say, "Hey, pick something off here and run it." What would you not pick? That's the question.
G.I.
right?
Joe.
Okay. I'd be all over that.
I wouldn't play G.I. Joe. I for reasons. But I would play Transformers.
We'll have to discuss those reasons. I'd
Yes.
like to hear about that. Freedom Squadron, I would, because it's a version. It's
Yeah.
like G.I. Joe. Anyway, what would I not play?
Not okay. How about this? Not play.
I am
really
young.
Not interested.
I
in
am young, Mitch. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say like not like refuse to play, but just like I'm not interested.
No,
in
it's
playing.
just like I'm just not
It's like,
interested in like I wouldn't pull that off the shelf right now.
Okay. Just because it was like it recently got brought up. I don't know if it was a show that I was listening to or what, but just on name alone, I have no idea. Never heard of this. I've never seen the system. I don't have any idea how this plays. Feelings and lasers, just on name alone.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, there's some indie stuff that like there's when you hit the indie route, you either really sell me and I'm like, yes, I just really want to play this game. Like I get pumped about your
Five
game.
Torches Deep.
Yeah, or I'm like, not like
Yep.
that's something not for me.
Yeah, because there's so many, they're so super niche that it's like, we're going to role play lovelorn substitute teachers in a backwoods Arizona.
Tell me more. All
You know,
right,
it's
now
like,
let's
what?
do
Piqued
this.
my interest.
Yeah, it's like
Can we play this right now, Troy? Can you
Yeah,
just keep
that's
ripping?
what we're gonna do right now.
Yeah, Girk, I'm with you. Let's just do this live.
Now that speaks to me.
Love Lorne.
Okay, I am the game master, otherwise known as the principal.
You
Yeah.
you have you somewhere in the world. Well, we know where, but Krishna is his eye is twitching because that's something he's like super triggered by any kind of like sappy romantic inclinations
Yes.
in any game at all. Somebody
Yes.
burned him. I'd like who hurt you is the question I have for Krishna. on that
Well,
one.
honestly, I kind of feel the same way about a lot of it, just because they're so niche. It's like you actually spent time creating a rule system for this,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
That's
and
true.
it's all role playing. It's like, what do you need to have to roll against? I don't understand.
What's the system, or like maybe it's not a system. I've seen like the
Kill a
Fire
lot called gym
Princess.
teacher.
What's the Fire Princess one where they've got like a
Oh
whole
no, no,
Lamentations of the
the
Fire Princess?
Lamentations of the
Not
of
remotely
the
interested in that at all.
nope.
That's actually one of those where I probably would be like, nah, that's a polite pass if someone
I
would invite me to a game.
accidentally grabbed one of their free RPG Day modules
Hmm.
years ago, and as I'm like, oh, so what's all this? Because it was like 5e compatible, so I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Get home, I'm looking through it, I'm like, nope, and I actually threw it in the garbage.
Just the covers alone, I'm like, nah, that's cool. No, thank you.
Well, for free RPG Day, they kind of toned down the cover,
Oh, I'm sure they did.
but not the inside. It was like,
Mitch.
I love you, Mitch.
And by accident, you mean on purpose.
yeah, it's accidentally on purpose.
Oh my, look at this.
What we got here? Oh.
Still trying to think of some other ones that I'm not really interested
That's
in.
But
fine.
but
It's
you know,
fine.
I say feelings and lasers, but who knows? That system could be absolutely amazing. I have no idea. It's just
Yeah. Well,
I
that
want
was.
to Girk. I want to play Alice is Missing.
Hmm.
Yes, I want to play that.
Well, fellas, are we ready to do this?
Let us
I think
unveil
we're
our three.
All right.
Kill a lot brings out Tune. Yeah, I like.
Mhm. All right, Troy, are we recording?
We are indeed.
All right. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Bite Size Gaming Podcast, the podcast that's serving up a buffet of RPG topics to get you through your week. My name is Zach, and the host joining me this fine evening is the Dwarven DM, John Christian,
Good evening, everyone.
and the Dapper Dad, Troy Sandlin.
Lolly ho.
Oh my God, what are you doing? Don't steal my jazz.
Well, you didn't take it, so
Well, I mean,
thought,
I was
oh.
trying not to do the obvious. That was me like bucking against expectations. And then that's fine. You can have it for this episode. I'll allow it.
Hmm. I like the rivalry. Like now John
Famed
is gonna have
rivalry.
this like I'm gonna always introduce John first now because he will then feel like Troy breathing on the back of his neck, waiting to steal his identity should he choose otherwise, right?
Yeah, and
So,
then I'll pass
if
it
you
on
do
to
not say-
Thomas.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
I've already had an identity crisis in Thomas taking over for me. I don't need that again. Really?
Well, tonight, being a Sunday, here on the live stream, we do something a little bit different. Whether it's an interview, or we talk about a system or something like that. But anytime we're not doing a crowdfunding corner on a Sunday, we try to do something a bit odd, off the wall. And lo and behold, it seems like a good chunk of our interviewees want to do Tuesdays at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it's going to probably be a little while before we get back to a regular episode. Today is going to be no different. We kind of had a pitch back and forth about what we wanted to chat about. And I think maybe, I don't know if it was all the cons that kind of came crashing around us the last few months and all the hauls that we got from that. I think part of my blame is going to fall on our Discord community and the fact that they post pictures of like books that they get in and from their Kickstarters or Amazon or wherever they're getting it from. But I've just been like stewing over wanting to play other systems,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of systems currently. And so tonight we're going to be chatting about what systems, if we had, the time and resources and availability and interest from players, or maybe we have a DM that would run it for us, what would we play?
Yes.
Um, and I think it's going to be fun. We got top three, and the obviously the top one is like your selfish or guilty pleasure game, like the thing that like, all right, I don't have to take anyone else in consideration. I just get to play exactly what I want. Yeah, Girk, I'm right along with you with all the systems.
Yeah, all the systems.
Yep.
Mhm, mhm. So, fellas, I have no idea. I think afterwards Troy had recommended that we kind of do a runners up or something like
Some
that. We'll kind
honorable
of
mentions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
honorable mentions at the end. Yeah. Um, but we've got our top three. We're going to start at number three for each one, and work our way up. And when we go through it, you don't have to get super detailed unless you have those details. But we want to know the system. We want to know the size or scale of the thing that you want, right? Do you want a mini series? Do you want a big old campaign? Do you want a one shot? What do you want out of this
Oh yeah.
experience?
Hmm.
And then are you going to DM it or do you want somebody else to DM it? That's the kind of the things that we're after. If, maybe you say Shadowrun is what you want. You might be able to say like, well, I 100% want it to be like a crazy heist. Maybe you have a theme within the system that you want. Um,
And
but
and
that's
Mitch is
up to
gonna
you.
run it for us.
And Mitch is going to run it for you.
All right.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Okay. Um, so let's start with John tonight.
Oh
Are
boy,
you fellas ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Ready.
All right. So the
And
first,
chat,
yes.
well, here, let me say this real
Yep.
quick. Chat, if you have your own list, post them there in chat, and
Yes,
we'll
please.
cover them
Yeah,
as we get
start putting
breakpoints.
in your number threes.
Yes, number threes. All
Yeah.
right, go for it, John.
You got it. All right. So Forbidden Lands. I want to try
Oh
out. I want to try out Forbidden Lands. Like at
yes.
Origins. I I got a slew of books and dice and all that good stuff from the guys at Free League Press, and that was great. So it's one thing to get it, but then to start reading through it, right? It's just really cool. What do I want? I want somebody else to run it because I want to feel more of that OSR that I may not be able to. That it's not the thing that I'm like my niche. It's not. I don't think it's the thing that I'm really good at. It's like this really like gritty, brutal. I mean, I can do it, right? But I want to feel what OSR really feels like from another person's
Mm-hmm.
perspective, and I feel like that's a really good system to do it in. And I really love the world that they put together. I like the mechanics. I find them absolutely fascinating. How long would I want it for? Probably like a stint, like a 5 session arc is about what I
Okay.
would want, I think. Like a good start, middle, and end point in there with a little like some stuff that goes on in between in episodes 2 and 3, but like a good climactic thing that happens at the end of it. It's nice and
Okay.
satisfying, and then move on to the next game.
I've got so many questions already. This is a great discussion. John, this is not a you game in my opinion,
Nope.
especially for
Yeah.
you to be a
No.
player. It's raiders and rogues in a cursed world. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's its pitch, right? There's no nice people. It's not a nice place. You can't be your paladin.
No.
Um,
Well, that's the thing, right?
so
That's the thing. I love that is like one of the like an arc. I guess it maybe an archetype that I would like is either the anti-hero, like and I want to think about an anti-hero. I'm thinking more like Mad Max,
Yeah.
right? Of like that kind of an
yeah,
anti-hero of
okay.
thrust upon him to do
Ooh,
something that is good or kind or compassionate and not really wanting to, but like that. I like that
that's cool.
conflict. I like the
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
conflict of that.
I dig the idea. Like, okay, I was confused as to the take that how John was steering into this, but selling me on Mad Max storylines
Mm-hmm.
in the Forbidden Lands is a very cool premise.
Yeah.
Very
Or
cool premise.
the alternative would be someone that really like has like these they want to be kind or they want to be good or they want to be compassionate, but the world is so
And they're
cruel
forced not to
and
be.
they're forced to make very difficult decisions for survival's sake. Right? Like it's that like I only have so many resources. There's only so much of me to help other people before I have to sacrifice something else, either of myself or something that's important to me. right? That morality play that goes on there of having to make those tough decisions. That's compelling to me as a player to play that kind of a character.
Kind of like a Walking Dead type feel.
A little bit, yeah. That's what
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Okay.
But not as I don't know that I'm like super into like that level of brutality where because one of the things that got old about Walking Dead to me is like every episode was punishment. Like every season was just like there's got to be at least some levity in there somewhere or like some minor wins, at least 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of thing where just like if it's just brutal and I'm getting my nuts kicked in every single game, I'm really not into that at all.
I yes, if it's an extended campaign, but I think for like a just a 5 session arc,
Yeah.
I think it could be brutal, like almost like Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
Oh my God. Ooh.
It's just it's so rough and it's so punishing, and it
Boy.
I mean, but once you go through that arc, then you can jump into something.
Are you a this is way off topic, but par for the course for us, I think. Way on brand.
Off
way
topic.
Brand off topic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a Cormac McCarthy fan, Troy? Or
Somewhat.
specifically The Road?
I like The Road, No Country for Old Men. Yeah, I love those. I love that whole, especially, I didn't know what I was getting into with The Road. And
I was
it,
I,
it,
yeah.
it
I thought I
beat
was
me
getting
down.
I thought I
It
was getting
beat
like
me down
the
bad.
prototypical post-apocalyptic. Oh, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be
but
fine.
no.
Like I'm glad I watched it, and it's an important film to me.
It is.
After watch, it's important to me. I will never be able to watch it again, though. It is just
I have yet to watch it again.
I can't. I don't think I could. It's just it is so brutal. It's
But
so brutal, but it's important.
I kind of would like the experience of playing
Yeah.
in that, but yeah, not for a very long time. Maybe a Forbidden Lands that was tweaked, kind of like maybe the Book of Eli
Oh yeah.
or something like that, where and that's kind of what I'm thinking of when you're saying, that person that is good, but they have to find that part inside them. Hey, if they want to survive or if they want to help these other people survive, they have to dig into a dark, dirty, nasty place and do things that they can't. They don't want to speak of.
Yeah, good parallel. Very, very good parallel.
Yeah.
That's it. Book of Eli or Mad Max. That's the kind of the vibe that the angle that I would go with as a player.
Interesting.
But I would leave it up to the DM to kind of like, or GM to kind of take it the way that they want to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased to know. Like, so I promise I'm going to pull us back onto the rails here. But I got really excited when you said Cormac because Cormac is one of my favorite writers.
Yeah.
Or let me rephrase that. Those are some of my favorite books, regardless of the way he writes them. But those last two, his last two, which are No Country for Old Men and The Road, are exceptional. But if you go back to like his older stuff, like Child of God or Blood Meridian, that's some stuff that'll make you think and will stick with you. As long as you can navigate 0 punctuation at all.
Hey,
it's literally like
I'm on Facebook.
They're just getting
Oh,
out.
yeah,
That's what I'm
exactly.
about. Punctuation just gets in the way.
you have never seen like a page that is just a solid block of text, and then you turn the page and it's another solid block of text with no periods, no caps, no commas, just I'm putting this down on paper. And the only time that you get a space is if he decides that there's going to be a conversation and some of it's going to be in Spanish and there's no translation. It's just like, here we go. Solid block of text, line of Spanish. Solid block of text, 3 lines of Spanish. And you're like, all right, let me get out my Google Translate. It's really good, though.
Wow.
That was a horrible sidetrack for this
Yeah.
episode.
I thought you were getting us back on the rail.
Troy said magic word. I am. So speaking let's move on. I'll jump in because I can get us back on the rail with that.
Okay.
Speaking of how the West was won, I'm going to call Deadlands
Ooh.
Yeah.
as my number 3.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
down for that.
Um, uh,
You running it or you playing it?
yeah, I would be happy playing. Yeah, I was gonna say I think I'd be happy to play um in one of the rare instances where it wouldn't really matter to me. And Mitch is asking which version. Um, Probably Reloaded, but it doesn't really matter. I just want to like seep myself in that
Mhm.
aesthetic for a while. Um, and I would like it to be like 10, like 8 to 10 sessions, like a thing that's long enough to where you sit and breathe in it. Maybe 6 is enough, but enough to where you can settle in. You have some of those slower paced episodes, which I think would really play into some of that Western feel, right? If it isn't just like high action all the time because we got to move the plot. Um, and I would love it to be like, I'd love it to be a heavy on the Western side of things.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't want the horror because I absolutely do, but I want like if I'm gonna have a if the scales are gonna tip, I want a little bit more Western weight towards it.
Okay.
Um,
I think that's a good choice. Now, as
Yeah.
you would want somebody to run it, or you would want somebody else. You would run it for somebody else.
I think I would be okay with playing, because it's like I think characters that I like to play,
Or
types of
the
characters that I
simpleton
like to play
hick.
would, yeah, would be great. Well, that's one of the many. Listen,
One of the
I have
many.
many variations of the simpleton that I
Blazing
enjoy.
Saddles. Craig.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Oh man. I
s-
I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like the idea of it being more Western than weird.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
and weird's a better word than horror maybe, but because really I just want more Western than oddity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if that's a horror vibe or a weird vibe or whatever it ends up needing to be. We'll give them a moment.
Okay, I think we
Troy,
got
can you
lost
hear
audio
us?
for a second there.
Oh, was it me that was losing audio,
No,
or
I
because
was losing
Zach
Zach
was?
for a second. Go ahead, Zach. I think we're good now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My apologies. All right, so let's move on because we got plenty to cover here. I will note that someone in chat, Kill-A-Lot, was saying that he missed the uh, the OSR days, and he missed things like help me out here. I'm looking for looking back for the message.
Boot
Top
Hill,
Secret,
Top Secret,
Mm-hmm.
Gamma World.
Gamma
Mm-hmm.
World. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like we lost audio for Troy and for Zach this time. Make sure everybody can hear me out there. Yep. All right. Hang on just a second. Let's see if I can wrangle them back and pull them back in here. There's some technical difficulties maybe with clear feed is what it probably looks like. Or clean feed, excuse me. Yep. Away. All right. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can pull them back in real fast. Yep. Just hear me. I will let them know. Yeah, it looks like clean feed died on us. All right, please stand by. This is where we need the please stand by technical difficulties screen that I can flap up. That's actually not a bad idea.
I'm on Discord.
Oh, you're on Discord now?
I'm
Got it.
telling you guys that it is Troy's clean feed link says that he is away. So if he could refresh clean feed, maybe we might get it.
Got it. Okay.
And I see myself on clean feed. My thing is bouncing, so I will.
Yeah, I see him away also. Now we can hear them. Restart the countdown.
It doesn't give me an option to refresh.
Up at the very top, next to the URL, there's no refresh button.
There's no refresh button.
Chat can hear you guys now just because you're in Discord.
Because clean feed changed their interface.
No. At the very, very top, like in the browser.
Like not in where it's being recorded, but in the other part.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit the F5 key, and then hit start.
Am I back?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? You guys hear anything?
Let me see. Hang on.
Let me refresh also. Troy's fault. See, it wasn't me. I still see him as
I am.
It says you're away still.
I'm right here. I'm looking at clean feed. It's telling me I'm here.
I don't know what that means.
It says starting log.
Yeah, I think it's a clean feed issue, honestly. So that means that we won't be able to.
It's always my fault. Okay, I just downloaded the portion that we've already got.
Very good.
I hope. Should I resend links or what should I do?
Yeah, let's close out, resend links, and let's start this. Let's figure it out. Yep.
Never a dull moment. At least it didn't happen.
Killot says we can hear.
Oh, they can hear us in. Again, they can't hear me because I'm not on Discord. 1 second. Okay, they can hear you because you're going through Discord and you're patching in through my desktop audio.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to hear you through clean feed, so they can hear.
Right.
They could hear all.
So don't worry, John. When we're actually live, this will work.
Sending new links.
We're live now.
I know. I know.
I'm trying to decipher that comment. There was some really rough lag there for a little bit too.
Yeah, I was getting some major lag on Zach, but I don't know if that was me or Zach. Okay.
Let's try to reconnect.
Yep.
Yes, here we go.
I sent links out.
I see it.
Hey, it worked.
Hold on.
Oh boy. All right, start recording, Troy.
worked.
I think, okay, so here's where we were. You're probably going to have to kind of like splice in a little bit more, Zach, about your 3. Just kind of like a wrap up on that, I think.
Yeah, sure. I'll do a little wrap up. How about that?
Yep.
And then we'll move on to Troy. So for people in the chat, we have a separate recording software, and it looked like it kind of bugged out, and that's where the issue was. So there we go. All right, so let's see. So I guess I'll kick back off with this. So yeah, if I'm gonna do it, I want to be a player. I think I could go either way, but I want to be a player, and I want it to be like either a 60-40 or a 70-30 split towards Western over weird or horror or anything like that.
Right on.
I think that's where I sit.
I would happily join that game. That's a good mix. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do that one. I've wanted to do Deadlands also. I have a friend of mine, Brian, who played the crap out of it and would always talk about it, and my eyes would just glaze over because it's just too much to absorb all at one time. But it was fascinating to me, and he would ramble off like the alternate history and stuff like that. I'm like, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. But I'd love to play it. So I'm with you.
Interesting. Cool. All right. Well, maybe someday. All right. Well, let's keep moving because we got plenty to go. Troy, what do we got there?
I have always wanted to play some form of Call of Cthulhu in an extended campaign.
Is there such a thing as an extended campaign of Call of Cthulhu? Is that a thing? Can that happen? Did we lose Troy? I think we'd lost Troy.
All right, are we back?
There we go. Yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Zach?
I can hear both of you. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear Zach now. How about that now? Clean feed is being a real pill tonight. Okay. Zach, say something real for me. Nope.
Testing.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. There's just a little delay in video to audio. But
You
I can
cannot hear me.
Yes. Just,
Can you
Okay,
hear me?
good.
Can you hear me?
All right.
yes,
Woohoo.
I can hear you. Just delayed.
All right.
Okay, so yes, I think there can be an extended campaign in Call of Cthulhu. It just has to be played out differently than what you would expect. I mean, because they have that. What is there a Horror on the Orient Express or the Masks of Nyarlathotep or something like that? It's a campaign book for Call of Cthulhu, so it's in there. So to me, it's more exploration, like Indiana Jones, continent hopping, finding information, finding stuff, encountering cultists, some otherworldly clues here and there that is slowly building up to the stuff that is taking your sanity, kind of thing. So it's not a one shot kind of thing where you go to the RV park and 4 hours later you're a fish man.
So you want the slow descent into madness, and
Yes,
not a stone plummeting into the depths of the ocean.
right. And that could and you know that insanity or death is inevitable, but I think there's something that can be done with that. There's kind of you can dive into that character in a different way, or even Delta Green.
Oh, see, that's going to go in my honorable mention. So I'm going to go ahead and mention. I'll say it right now. I'm very interested in playing a game of Delta Green.
Yeah, I would love to play. I might run. I would maybe run Delta Green. I would definitely play Delta Green. But the idea of being like in the 1920s, that whole aesthetic, just being in every person getting thrown into the weird tentacle freakiness of Lovecraftian horror, I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah, whoever came up with that was like, Vietnam wasn't bad enough. Let's put tentacles in it as well, and more madness on top of what was already in there.
And I would even, if I was going to play normal Call of Cthulhu, I would play against the norm, because you can't fight your way out of Lovecraftian horror. But I think, to me, that's also part of the fun, is playing that character who is like a soldier of fortune, or fresh out of the army or something like that, who thinks in terms of fists and guns. But now you're put up against these otherworldly horrors that doesn't work. So you've got to figure out what to do and rely on the more brainy members of your group, and you're basically just, I'm going to do what I can to keep you guys alive, because if you're dead, I'm dead.
Now, would you do it as Delta Green or the Fall of Delta Green?
I am not that familiar with the Fall of Delta Green.
Because isn't that the Vietnam one, and then the actual Delta, and it's like a prequel, and then Delta Green, in truth, is like more of an 80s.
I think Delta Green was started in
I thought it was
Vietnam, and then the Fall of Delta Green happened in the 80s. But I don't know.
And the difference is that Fall of Delta Green is in like the gumshoe system or something. Like it's a whole different system that it runs off of than the core book. So it's weird. It's fascinating but weird.
Well, I think that whichever one it is, the one that I would definitely want to play out of and play and run in is definitely the Vietnam era version of it. Whichever one that is, actually.
Interesting. Maybe somebody in chat can point us in the right direction.
Yeah, or even Achtung Cthulhu.
That's 2D20 though.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to see that system in a more combat. Well, it could very well work for Lovecraftian horror. I don't know. It's also Savage Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. It is also Savage Worlds, and it's also Call of Cthulhu. So you could
yeah,
have
yeah,
a Call of Cthulhu, Action Cthulhu campaign, and have your best of all worlds.
yeah.
You could kill two birds with one stone. All right, cool. All right. So let's chat about number twos here. John, what's your
Uh,
number two?
yeah. So this is it is. I'm going to shift pretty significantly with this one. I tried to think about something that was like a little bit different. I would love to play a mouse guard RPG game.
Ooh,
And the
good
reason
call.
the
Yeah.
specific reason why is because of the Secret of Nim. Like
Okay.
that's it
Yeah.
is. I love the idea of. I mean, you can play in other systems where you're very small and you're going against things that are very big, very titanic things. But this is like the life of a mouse seems so frail and fragile, and everything is a predator, and you're the prey to everything. But there's like this, like a sweet nobility in the characters that are in it. They're not as
Mm-hmm.
jaded as a Watership Down or as like the Warren or anything like that. So Mouthguard, it's very like nearly Arthurian in the way that it kind of the way that it feels to me whenever and which again those sensibilities come back from the Secret of Nim where it's a little bit weird, kind of dark, but there are very
Mm-hmm.
noble characters that are in it. There's like these a good swing of good versus evil that's in it.
Yeah.
Very fairly clearly defined goods and evils, where you're not really going to have. So it's that's kind of a pretty big shift from my other that OSR feel of like desperate struggle kind of thing, and like lots of moral grays, as opposed to this one where this seems like you could do a lot of like more of a high adventure, but very very small in size.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you, is it specifically Mouse Guard, or would you play Mouse Ritter? Would you play Redwall? Or is it you're just a concept, or is it specifically Mouse Guard that
Mm-hmm.
you're
Well, I've read some of the series of Mouse Guard, and I really like the series quite a bit.
okay?
So that's probably where I would start. But if somebody were like to say, you should try this one instead, I'm going to jump on any one. I'm not going to be so picky. But in this instance specifically, just because I know more about Mouse Guard and kind of like the vibe and the themes that play off in it, I really like that. And the kind of character that I would play would be like a mystic mouse kind of character, like that very sagely, like Nicodemus
Oh
from from Secret of Nim, or Mr. Ages would probably be more in line with it, where he's like the mystic that's really grumpy and is like that doesn't it's like very dwarf like, right? Like Mr. Ages was all in Secret of Nim was very dwarf like in that he was like really really brusque and stony on the outside, but he had like just like a candy coated. He would like have a little like gushy gooey center, and so that kind of character concept is probably the one that I would go with. I would probably do the same thing that I did with Forbidden Lands, where I'd love like a good five game arc. That to me is like the
Yeah.
really like if I really want to try something and see if it's something that I want to keep going with, it's going to end up being
Five is
five.
about right, yeah.
Five's a really really good one. You got a good beginning, middle, and end to it,
Yeah.
and it kind of like has
Yeah.
that good curve that I'm looking for in it. So I just like the themes of like things that are very like small in the dangerous world, and everything is gigantic. Everything snakes and foxes and everything else that are birds, crows, owls, things that are trying to eat me. Everything's
Right
trying
on.
to eat me.
So, are humans present in these games at all,
I
or is it
don't.
like the strange, otherworldly creatures that's like, oh my gosh, we just do not?
Honestly, I don't recall. It's been so long since I've read any of it. I didn't read a ton, right? So don't get me wrong. So again, a lot of my the game that I would want to play in would be if I could made like a Secret of Nim game. That's really what I want to play in. But Mouse Guard seems like it's the one that's like the closest to it that I'm really kind of looking for. Either way, I think there would be if I would want humans to be kind of like this nebulous thing that's just like a force of nature that was on the periphery that they had to deal with.
Right.
Like we always move from this side of the stone to the other side of the stone in the spring because of something that happens because the humans are coming, but you never really have to deal with them directly. All of your conflicts would happen inside of that same little microcosm of the smaller world and set inside of a larger world. You know?
Hmm. Hmm.
That would be fun. I could
Yeah.
I could get down with some of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and Girk's right along there with you, trying to get Mouse Ritter, because I think he backed the Kickstarter right along with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I steer more towards the rabbit side of things if we're gonna steer down that trail. Like, I've got a
Mhm.
RPG called The Warren that I would love to play at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I see the appeal in
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying
Well,
for
I mean,
sure.
like anthropomorphizing animals is like it's to me. It's like I don't know very many people that didn't have as a part of their childhood. There's always
Oh,
some
yeah.
Disney movie or something like that where there was an
Yeah.
animal that was talking, or there was like a humanoid
Yeah.
form of some sort, and so I identify with it from a nostalgia purpose point. Like that's like probably the biggest thing. It's the nostalgia and the artwork of Don Bluth and everything like that. But
Yes.
yeah, I love that. I love, and I think that a lot of people could relate to that as and playing that kind of a game. For me, that's like
Mm.
it's easily that's like it was an easy ad for my number
Yeah.
two. Very
I
easy.
would I think it'd be awesome if you had a campaign set in a big house.
Mm,
Oh yeah, that would be rad.
yeah,
I
And
would
it's
love
like,
that.
you know,
I dig it.
it's almost the
and there's
equivalent of like
different.
it's almost like the equivalent of like a city campaign.
Yep.
You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. You
Yeah,
got to look. It's like a
I'd
little
be down.
environmental bubble where there's stuff that goes on outside, but the only stuff that you really worry about is
Well,
what's going on
it's
in there.
and it's translating, right? A thing that's familiar to the player,
Yeah.
to the people,
Hmm.
into something that's now disfamiliar as a mouse, right? So that'd be cool.
And
know
then
what?
it's like,
Um,
yeah, I have to go sneak out. I have to go
Yeah.
into the big people area.
Yeah.
And I think this
Ah.
is one where I would feel comfortable running this game too. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
divided, honestly. I could probably
Mhm.
run this game and feel very comfortable about the themes. I have a very very specific feel that I would want in it, to where I'd want to be able to own the like the setting the stage, so to speak, for like the environment and the tone and everything like that. Whereas with Forbidden Lands, I'm more than happy to just like give myself over to whoever is running it and just going along with whatever their primary thrust of the story is.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
totally run this game though, and I'd love that.
Well, Troy, before I jump fully into chat here, are you going to talk about, as a little hint, are you going to talk about cyber stuff in an
Well,
upcoming bullet point?
well, no, not in the three, which is odd. But I
Okay.
mean, it was
So we
going to
can,
go in my honorable mentions, but we already talked about it, so I didn't put it in
yeah.
my honorable
So
mentions.
Mitch is chatting about Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk Red there in chat. I've never gotten to play Cyberpunk 2020. Cyberpunk Red, I think, for me, is is a great system to pull people out of D&D and
Mhm.
into, because it has so many touch points to familiar things with D&D that it's a really easy sell. Like, your players aren't going to have a whole lot of problems maneuvering into there. So for that alone, I think that system's great, and I like running it. I've ran a few games of it now. I'll stay on the sci-fi side of things and say I'm also going to go different for my second one here. I'm going to go Warhammer 40K.
Oh.
Oh wow, Warhammer
Yeah,
40K
it's
RPG.
the RPG. Yeah,
Nice. Any
absolutely.
particular?
Yeah.
Okay, so before you carry on, how specific are you getting with this? Just like I'll take anything you got, or are you talking about like Imperial Marines? Are you talking Rogue Trader, or what are you thinking?
No, it would be the Wrath and Glory is what I want to play.
Okay.
Which is their new RPG. And ideally I want to be a Space Marine, and if Deadlands I could go either direction. I could go either direction on any of these, but if Deadlands is the either or option for me, I'm gonna go player as this one,
Hmm.
hardcore. I'd like it to be like 6 sessions thereabouts, and I want it, like, my ideal setup would be that it is a series, like a chronicled series that we play through. So like 3 mini adventures, like 2 sessions each. Not like a long story, but just like these snippets that tell punchy stories. And there's like 1, 2, 3, and they kind of combine to tell the story, or a chapter in the history of one of the factions of Space Marines. That would
Okay.
be awesome.
Right
I
on.
would dig that so much. The thing that's getting in my way is I adore the franchise from a novel point of view,
Mm.
from a fiction point of view, but I don't feel like I have the full knowledge to be super comfy in running it. Now I could probably just go open up the rule book and like run whatever's in the starter kit, right, and be all right. But I want like someone to run it that has way more intimacy with this lore than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to say, you are this Space Marine company, and these are the things that you're going to encounter. And I just get to buckle in to my power suit and go along for that ride.
I can
Okay.
appreciate that. Like as someone
I
that
can too.
my first introduction to my only really introduction to Warhammer 40K. I never played any of the miniature gaming. I read a little bit of the books after the fact. I actually read some Warhammer Fantasy before I read any or played any for 40K. And it was holy crap. There's so much lore. It is like drowning in
Mm-hmm.
an ocean of lore. There's so much crap, and so even still, even having not only a GM that knows the lore, which I had
Yeah.
other players at the table that knew way more than me, and it was like I have completely out of my element. It was still great,
Yeah.
but it was overwhelming. There's so much
That's what I
going on.
want. That's what I want. I want somebody who just talks over my head for the entire 6 sessions. I'm just like, yes. And I can play my simpleton
Well,
as a
that's
Marine
yep,
A
and
simpleton
just
space
like,
marine? That's
just
scary.
yeah,
right.
exactly.
A 9 foot tall, genetically engineered super soldier simpleton.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. No, oh man, I would, cause what I love the most about that world or about the products that they put out is when they kick out those anthology series.
Mm.
Just devour them. I love those like short snippets, and so I'd love. I just want a campaign of that. I want a little campaign that just gives me those snippets, and you're finding artifacts. You're saving the world in 24 hours or the galaxy or whatever, right? Like it'll be great.
No, I love that. And to your point, you're right. Well, I would need to be like, my character would have to be like a pipe banger, like that. Just some mook that they picked up and was like cleans their armor or scoops up their space poop whenever they're done. So like that's like the character that I would have to be, just because of how
Whoa.
little I would actually knew at the time. And I had to like, but we were
That's on
playing.
brand, though. Yeah,
It is, right?
Troy, you act like that's something uncouth. That
What? That's like,
Well, I mean, I feel like John
Mhm.
is painting a negative picture of these space marines as if they're walking around just shitting all over their barracks,
it's hyperbole. It's
and they have
hyperbole.
to have somebody running around behind them, scooping it up behind,
Well, hang on.
broom with
So-
a push broom.
with a push broom.
No, well, hang on, but the low, like the low in Warhammer are low. That's the thing that I that's the thing that that's what I'm getting at. It's like the thing that I
Yes.
got out of playing Rogue Trader
Yes.
for years is that there are literally people inside of humans that are inside of like a space Hulk or like in ships.
Yeah.
That all they do is they bang a pipe. People have completely forgotten about them even being there. They've been doing it for generations, and they're like, "Why do you bang the pipe?" Because my daddy was a pipe banger, his daddy was a pipe banger, and now I'm a pipe banger. It's like that's the kind that's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying that Space Marines are actually like rabbits, just
They're just
taking
walking
a
around
dump wherever they
defecating
go. I'm just
in the barracks and whatever.
they
Yeah.
have like a little
In all
hatch
my
that pops
in all
open
my
every once in a
stories,
while.
I've never read that, Troy.
I don't think I didn't think
What
so.
corner of the internet do you get your 40K stories from? Yeah.
Me, I'm talking about John. He's the one that wanted to be the space marine poop scooper.
Hey, better that than than some of the alternatives out there. Believe me.
Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough. Let's kick this back to Troy. What are you thinking?
Okay, so I want to do Alien from Free League, but in a big way.
Mm.
I want this to be a long campaign, but not necessarily with the same characters.
Mm.
Because what I would do is I would like to take the connection, or make a connection, because somebody mentioned in chat, Craig mentioned in chat, Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to take Blade Runner, the movie Soldier,
Oh yes.
develop that into the androids that then get put on the ships and stuff.
He's
in
still
Alien,
my beating heart. Yeah.
Mhm.
and just kind of connect this all out. And so like you would have, and not necessarily sequentially. So let me be one of the enhanced soldiers from Soldier for a couple sessions. And it's like, okay, bloop. Now we're going to be on LV-426 checking stuff out. And then bloop. Now we're in the time of the replicants hunting down the rogue replicants, and bloop, and just going all different.
I hadn't even thought about the fact that like Free League is gonna crank out both Alien and Blade Runner,
Yes.
and you know that they're like you're gonna have both of those books sitting on your shelf next to each other, and they're gonna find a product that just slides neatly in between them.
Yes,
Right?
indeed.
Mm.
Yeah, to Craig, I would be both truckers and Marines, because, like I said, you're gonna have some characters over here for a nice little arc. You're gonna have some Marines over here for a nice little arc, and then you might come back to those space truckers. Then you might jump over to be a Blade Runner for a while, and just kind of bouncing all over this universe of stories back and forth, just to weave in and out, like an anthology. You could go back and revisit some of them that you really, really liked. If you have a TPK, fine. The alien, the xenomorphs, gotcha, cool. Now do a little bit of Blade Runner going forward.
Well, that's the thing I love about your idea, though, right? It's like the TPK is part of the story, right?
It's part of the story.
Like the next thing that comes in, it's the recovery team, right? It's the one. It's Ridley's group that came in and stumbles on the wreckage and ruin of what happened last, right? I really like that from a conceptual point, not just necessarily Alien RPG, even though that would be amazing. The idea of like it's a trilogy of sessions. It's 5 sessions each, or 3 sessions each, or whatever it is. But it's like it's this, and then that ends, and then something else is like prequel to it, or it is a sequel to it, or something that's running in parallel. And then the last one is where like the roads no longer diverge, they intersect again, and they create. This is like the main path once again. I like that idea.
And if you were going to hold my feet to the fire and say, okay, you said the Alien game, you have to only play the Alien game, you can't pull all this other stuff in it. Fine, it would be a much shorter campaign, but I would also like it to be a multi-session campaign where it's more aliens and not Alien. And because that throwaway line from Hudson, when he's like, "There's going to be another bug hunt, sir." What have they encountered before to call them bug hunts? So, let me be a space marine. Put me on different, missions and this and that, and then that I can culminate into finding a hive of xenomorphs or something like that. Let me explore that world of Alien.
I dig it.
Yeah, I like that.
I dig it. Awesome. All right. I'm sold on that one. Sign me up. All right.
And Bear Droid is going to be the guy that plays the same bishop in all the adventures. All the iterations.
Awesome. Well, here, John, we're going to start our top tier. Now, Troy implied that like this one isn't just your number one. It's like It's like that. In my mind, I imagine this one as like the one you've been keeping in your back pocket
Hmm.
Mhm.
and been like, I really
One of
want to do
these
this, but
days.
I want it right. I want to do it
Mhm.
right. I want
Yeah.
to do it justice,
So,
and
but
I only want to do it if it's perfect.
Mhm.
so before we do the number ones, should we go through our lists of honorable mentions real quick?
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Because we're
A
not going
little
to dig
tease.
into them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. So John, give us a couple. Just rattle off the list.
Yep.
What didn't quite make the list?
Yeah. So for me, it's gonna be like obviously Five Torches Deep is one that I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
run and I'm going to play, but I haven't yet. Right. So that's
Right.
one of the reasons why I didn't choose that one. I did not choose a Dragonlance for my top three, but I would love to be. That's an honor. That's like one. I'd like for somebody else that is a bigger Dragonlance nerd than I am to run a game for me in their little
Mm.
sandbox. I'd love.
Oh, I can't even imagine. You'd be so happy.
I would, man. Like a
You would
pig and salt,
cry.
man. Like
You
maybe
would be
Jeremy
smiling
Arnold
for
would be
like the
one. I
rest of
feel
the
like
week.
Jeremy could run a really good Dragonlance game. I would.
Mm.
I'd pay money for that.
No such creature. Frederick, like,
Such-
there's no such creature.
Or
Bigger than
or
me.
you get one of us to do it for you, John, and we
Nope.
just butcher the shit out of
Nope. Or you may as well have Krishna run it for me then, if that's the case.
Yes. Yes.
it.
Yes.
All of his
Pokes.
angst,
I would
Poke.
love to.
all of his hurt,
I would
all
love
of his
to.
pain would be in
Yes.
there. Yeah. Let's see what else.
So John, there's
yeah,
this
go ahead.
purple dragon that flies out of the sky, and it's got a lance in
Eye
both
twitching.
hands.
I twitch. Both eyes twitching now. Not just one. Both of them are twitching at the same time. Yeah, it's complete
Yeah,
spasm. Yeah.
It's a strobe light.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Purple dragon. That's not purple dragon. That's the meme
Yes.
that messes with nerds. It's like Patrick Stewart, and he's quoted as a Gandalf
Yeah,
quote
yeah.
about
Yeah,
something in
yeah.
Harry Potter. Oh my god, it's just awful. It makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so I'll go with Dragonlance would be a great one. I still would like to play some more Star Wars. Edge of the Empire or like an Old Republic style game would be really, really cool. So like again, I really want to play Transformers. Is one that I look Cyberpunk Red was in my list too of one that I'd love to play. Delta Green was on there. Some more Savage Worlds, Mutants and Masterminds is one that I have not played before that I would like to play
Nice
at
pull.
some point. Cthulhu, I haven't played like a really good session of Cthulhu, so I'm down with that. I probably would only do like maybe one or two because I can only handle so much just like depressing crap at one time. Like it's good. I think it's good for you to have that stuff there, but like I can't do an ongoing thing. So
I would love to see. I would love to play in a game with John of Call of Cthulhu
Mhm.
that is reminiscent and heavily flavored by the mist.
oh yes, I would do that.
Hmm.
I could do like a 3-session arc of that. That would be cool.
With that
Mm.
ending, with an ending
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
The bravest ending in
Mm.
cinema. The bravest.
Yeah, yeah.
A fantastic ending. Let's see, and I'll round out my last one, and I'll pass the torch on to you knuckleheads. What was it that I was looking at? Just a second. Blades in the Dark was one of them that was kind of like a close.
Oh yeah.
Was
Yeah.
a close one. The Lost Citadel. I would love for somebody else to show me how to play it
Okay.
and to run it for me. The Lost Citadel, but just because the lore is
Looks interesting.
crazy. Yeah. Super dark. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll rattle off a few. I'm gonna align with Troy and I think Craig and say Blade Runner. The new Blade Runner is super exciting to me.
Yeah.
100% want to play that. As soon as that comes out, it's gonna be a hard sell to pull me into any other cyberpunk stuff. I really want to play a really fun, engaging game of Vampire. Um, so that would be a high end one. That one almost made my top three actually. Early contender. I want to play. I've got it sitting over on the shelf. You can actually see it if you're live. But I'm fascinated by the Green Knight RPG
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
because it's different than the others because I just want to see what a product that was that eccentric, that niche, that like it's not trying to fit into the RPG world. It's not fitting into the television world. It just kind of sits outside of both, but is influenced by both. I want to just learn what's going on there and see how that ended up being. And then, oh goodness. Um, I would like to. My favorite book of all time is Watership Down. So if I got to pick, like, I would love to play in a Watership Down inspired, kind of to tie into your thing there, John, with Miles Guard. Um, an earnest game that has that sort of sensibility would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very cool.
no knuckleheads.
No
I'll,
knuckleheads.
Yes.
including myself. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's actually,
Sorry.
I think that's an important angle in all of this, though. We've talked about us as a player, singular, and then the DM. We really haven't, and I think with the third one, let's do this. With the third one, let's make sure that we say, like, and these are the kind of players that I want at the table, too. I think that's a really important component in that.
Oh, speak of the devil. Okay, so hang on. I gotta throw another one in there because I'm really excited about this. The One Ring second edition, and I'm
Oh,
getting to
yeah.
play it in another like 2 months.
Okay.
One of the friends of the show is gonna run it for me, and a group of us, and
That's awesome.
I am craving it. Um, and yeah, Bear Droid is saying, you, you know, he doesn't know how vamp sensibilities would fit. I agree. Like, I don't want to get in the weeds,
Yeah.
but I would like to. I've listened to some actual plays to kind of get a sense for it, and I've read the rule book and whatnot. I'm like, there's a fun game in there for me, and I would like to find it. So,
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. Vampire didn't make my honorable mentions, didn't make my top three. Um, I worked with a kid years and years and years ago who was big into Vampire, and the way he described it, it was a lot more like Underworld. The way they ran it,
mm,
he described a scene where they had took the local shopping mall
mm,
and they were werewolves hunting down a vampire or vice versa, something like that. I'm not really sure which, but they could smell
mm,
their enemy and they tracked him down. They had this big fight blasting through different shops
mm,
in this mall and stuff. I thought, oh, that'd be kind of fun. But I feel kind of like that's not what the masquerade was all
mm-hmm,
about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd play it. I would like to play it. I'd like to give it a shot. But for my honorable mentions, Symbarum, Forbidden Lands,
mm-hmm,
Five Torches Deep, something along those, more gritty, more
mm-hmm,
nasty, life is cheap type
Mm-hmm.
fantasy settings. I've always wanted to try Shadowrun. I've never got to play it just to see what it's like. Top Secret, Boot Hill, that kind of thing. Would love to play just a straight Wild West type game. Would be
mm-hmm,
awesome.
mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
A spy game, that would be awesome. Gamma World. I actually loved the the Gamma World that used like the fourth edition rules of D&D. That
mm,
was a lot of fun the way they had that worked out. I played some hilarious games of that. I'd love to play more DCC
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
just for the funnel and the crazy weirdness. And the two palette cleansers from all of this, like especially doing the road or something like that kind of riff, paranoia and feng shui.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I would get down. It's
Okay.
like the computer is our friend. The computer loves us. Find the mutants, or anything that you've seen in a Jackie Chan movie for feng shui.
That's awesome.
I
Good
love
picks.
those. Good pulls.
Yeah, definitely.
uh, Girk is saying DCC is his current focus. I love that, and Deadlands.
Mm-hmm.
Girk, you're running the games. Some of the games, DCC didn't make my list, but it should have made my honorable mentions because I think it's fascinating. All right, that's good. All right, so you might be able to guess, dear listeners, what each one of us has as our number ones just by just crossing off the list of what we didn't list as an honorable
Mm-hmm.
mention, maybe. But let's give it a shot here. John, what's your number one?
Oh, man. This one's an easy one for me. I want to play Kids on Bikes, and I want it set in the 80s. I want to be a Goonie. Like that. It's like
Oh,
I
dude.
want to be a Goonie so hard. Like, and by that I mean like I actually want to play Kids on Bikes as like that's the mechanics of what's going on, but I want to be a Goonie. Like the next generation of Goonies or like their kids or something like that. Like maybe not in the 80s,
You,
maybe
you
the
want to be the
90s or something.
Sandlot too? That's what you want?
No, not the
Yes.
Sandlot. Not even. So Bear Droid mentions Tales from the Loop. That was one I thought really hard about that, but it's such a very specific vibe and like I was fighting between the two. If I had to choose between the two, though, as much as I do love the aesthetic and
Yes.
the kind of like this alternate timeline love of Tales from the Loop, and I do want to play that too. I didn't mention it as an honorable mention intentionally because I just fought between that and Kids on Bikes, but I want a Goonies experience with Kids on Bikes,
That would be cool.
and that would be my jam. And the people that I would want at the table are the silliest bastards possible. That's who I want. That's the fun game, right? So I went Forbidden Lands would be this really dark, and it could be like very dramatic, and there could be some really awesome, moments that come from it as a result of it. You'd have this very sweeping, heroic tale with a different kind of set of players in Mouse Guard or that same kind of vibe. Whereas this one would just be like Keystone Capers with kids. It would just be like an absolute blast to do Kids on Bikes. I would be happy to run it or play it. Honestly,
I got dibs on a seat.
oh man, I would. That would be like you'd have to have the tropes in there too, like every trope you can think of, like the Fratelli like bad guys that like just chew up scenery. Like again, 80s or 90s would probably be the era. I think 80s would be like my preference between the two. But yeah, man, I would play the crap out of that game or run the crap out of it. Yes, beers at the table game. That's a beer and pretzels game for sure. Where we're like doing movie quotes or we're singing 80s tunes at the like, and I'd have like that playing blasted in the background, or you'd go into like an arcade and I'd have some like YouTube ambient sound effects of Joust and like all of those classic arcade games that when I would walk in, like there was just like this chorus, this symphony of synthetic sound that was created by all of these arcade games. It was just like, oh, it's amazing. I would love to do that. That would just like yeah. I'm just excited just sitting here thinking about it. That'd be so much
That
fun.
would be a lot of fun.
I love it.
Oh man. Okay. Yep. So John, you ended up having Forbidden Lands, then Mouse Guard, then Kids on Bikes.
Yep, that's it.
I like that list for you. I can see that being a very John list, especially with my understanding of how you want Forbidden Lands ran, or how you want to approach it. And yeah, it makes I had a suspicion Tales from the Loop, but Kids on Bikes makes a lot of sense for you at the top.
Yeah, that was a fight, man. That was a tough.
Yeah.
I was like, as I'm sitting here listening to the two of you talking, I'm like, damn, man, do I want to change it back? I was wrestling with it like up until the moment. I'm like, nope.
You didn't know what was going to come out.
Who knew? No, I didn't know until you all knew. So there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, if you were here, I don't even know if we were recording back then. I don't think we were. We weren't. But in my old house, my old office, it would have been quite obvious what Zach was going to pick, because my old office had floor to ceiling, wall to wall to wall, Star Wars memorabilia across the entire thing. I would love to run a true campaign of Edge of Empire.
Oh my god. Yes.
But I want to run it. I mean, so what I would love to do, and this is the reason that it hasn't happened yet, is I want to pull out. I was one of the people who read like all the legacy had all the legacy novels, right, and like dove into them hard. I would love to pull out all of that and just marinate in probably in that space, maybe like 15, 20 years after Return of the Jedi. Somewhere in there.
No, right on.
Far enough away to where you don't have those events, but there's like this weird empire that kind of has its own portion of the galaxy and is kind of floating alongside the New
Hmm.
Republic and is kind of almost unified with them, but they've got their own shit going on. And the New Republic has its stuff together, but then there's all these outside forces kind of like feeling at the edges of them. And it'd be really, I think, really fun. And I'm not even opposed to just incorporating some of the outside threats that were part of that legacy series towards the end, like the Vong invasion and things like. Uh, but I want to do it. I want to do it like that. I don't want it to be like the movies
Hmm.
in the sense that it's hurry up and get it over with sort of a story and big bad thing. I'd love it to be a more drawn out campaign, War in the Stars, so to speak.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I would absolutely want to run it, and I would want people to play it who know Star Wars, love Star Wars, but haven't dipped their toe very much into the extended universe.
Mm.
I think that being able to be a GM who has all of that back knowledge and can kind of reveal it to you as someone who knows what a hut is, knows all about Java, right? Like yeah, of course, but you don't know a thing about Nar Shaddaa or hut space in general, right? Like,
Hmm.
I think that would be cool, right? It'd be cool to know about that for the first time in an RPG sense.
Yeah.
Um, I would, oh man, I would consume that. I would love to play that game.
Oh man, well I'm with you. You let me know when you're ready to run it because that's the whenever D&D was discovered to be the devil as a kid, I,
Mm.
I receded into Star Wars. That was like acceptable was to play Star Wars. So the old D6 game I played the crap out of for years. We did a Brash Pilots campaign, we did a Bounty Hunters campaign, and there were some like the highlights of my high school the time in high school with my friends were sitting around and playing we're rolling D6s,
Hmm.
and praying that that wild die would explode over and over and over again. Right. So I love,
Yeah.
and I'm with you, like kind of like the you specifically pick like an edge of the empire, like that fringe of space or fringe of civilization kind of space that gives you so much freedom to where you don't have to worry about like you get to start to like play and noodle with the lore a little bit when you're that far out there because there's a lot of weird crap out there that's kind of like undefined.
And I don't really need to be on the edge of space all the time because I want you to be able to go to Coruscant, right?
Mm.
Hmm.
I want you to have some of those experiences. I don't really even care if a person wants to be a Jedi. What I don't want to do I don't feel like, is tell a story about the rebellion versus
Mm.
the Empire
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
or the Confederacy versus the Old Republic, right? Like I don't want it to be Jedi versus Sith. I don't want those types of like clashes.
Mm.
Um, I want the Star Wars mixture in its entirety. I want the Force and lightsabers and things like that to be in our campaign. But I love Bear Droid is my favorite person this evening. With their quote, says, uh, Star Wars game must not know what Yzalamari are, which is exactly what I would put. Like, if you know that far, you know too deep.
You know too much.
Um, uh, Spoilers, but they're like these weird lizard things that create like a, a force bubble that keeps you from being able to use the force while you're in proximity to them. Um, it's pretty cool.
Wow, that is
I
that's
think,
a deep cut, man. That I
That is a
I don't
deep
even
cut.
know
I
about
didn't know
that,
what that
man.
was.
I've read some of the
yeah,
extended universe books, like the Thrawn trilogy, and some of the ones
yeah,
outside of that. Like I've got boxes of them, but holy moly,
yeah. I
I know who Tag
think.
and Bink are.
yeah.
There you go. Tag and Bink.
Yeah.
Uh, are they the ones from the are they the kids from the weird like kid horror novels?
No, they're
The
the
two
two
stormtroopers, right?
stormtroopers
Yeah.
that Obi-Wan tricked when he went to shut down the reactor.
Hmm.
Oh, right on.
And
Okay.
and every time you see just a pair of stormtroopers, in the movies, that's tag and bink
Mm-hmm.
because they're screwing something up somehow. It's hilarious.
Mm.
It's a. I think it's from Dark Horse when they were doing the Star Wars comic. Oh my gosh, it's some good stuff.
Uh, you said Thrawn. Thrawn is, I think it's Thrawn and some of those later books. Not later books, but some of like the uh that trilogy. I think is where the Thrawn trilogy. I think is where they got introduced John. But this is a sidetrack. But Talon Karday. Yeah, exactly. Girk. Yep. Ah, man, these are my people in chat. I feel at home. Uh, you know what? I changed my mind. Bear Droid Girk, you guys are welcome. These other yahoos can keep out. I love it. All right, so that's Zach's is Edge of Empire. Troy, what do you got for us?
I want to know before I say it. What do you guys think it is? Uh,
Let me give it a stab.
give us.
I'll just throw one out there because nobody's mentioned it yet. Is it like the Marvel art, like a Marvel RPG or something like that?
No.
Okay.
No. I. Oh no. I I tried this a long time ago, and I think it went pretty well. I see what I did wrong in that time. I think I could do it a lot better. It is. It's a game that I can run and play in at the same time because of the way
Oh.
it's set up. It is a D20 game,
Hmm.
um, built off of the third edition rules. The Know Your Role professional wrestling game for WWE.
Oh my God. Now I know why you were embarrassed to say it
Yeah,
because you
but
should be. That's fine.
no, it was it was fantastic because it's ran. That's right, Bear Droid, you got it. Um, it was it's presented as if professional wrestling is real,
Okay. It is real.
and
You
I
tell
mean,
a professional wrestler that it isn't real and get
no,
ready
no,
for
no.
an ass
I
whipping.
mean, there's no. I'm not talking about what happens in the ring. I'm
Okay.
talking about the
Oh, okay.
storylines.
Gotcha.
That all of that stuff is actually real. So all the rivalries and all the stuff is what
Oh my
is
God.
it's all is 100% real. So and this would be a campaign, and it would not have to be like an every week thing, but you just the way I did it was we started our own. I started my own wrestling federation. Everybody made 3 wrestlers,
Hmm.
and you can have matches going on. You know, a couple different matches going on because not everybody can really take part when people are doing the wrestling and stuff. So I made the tournament brackets. We were going to try to determine who the heavyweight champion of the wrestling federation was going to be, and everybody went and got intro music, and I had it queued up. And when I would introduce the people, I would hit the music, and they would come out, and I drew up all their characters, and I did it in the style of like Ed McGuinness, I think is his name.
Hmm.
And I used that whole like DC Ed McGuinness kind of uh, animated Batman the animated series. I used that art style, and like the commissioner of the whole of the Federation looked like old Bruce Wayne,
Huh.
kind of a thing, and everybody got to do all their stuff. and you could start your own rivalries. You could do run-ins during a match and mess with people and stuff. And
Holy
so
crap! This is amazing.
it was so much fun. A buddy of mine, he made up this wrestler called the Dingo Kid, and it was like, okay, how do you enter from backstage? And he had this whole thing set up, and Craig is gonna love this. He came out, and it was this huge animatronic kangaroo that came out through the Titantron, and the Dingo Kid would jump up out of the pouch uh, to, to enter the ring, and I'm just like, this is absolutely hilarious. So I had a character who was supposed to wrestle him in the next round. So I had it set up where when the kangaroo came out, and he came out to the song "Tie Me Kangaroo Down." That was his entrance music. And so my character, I don't remember my character's name, but I ran in and beat him to a pulp with a chair while he was still in the kangaroo pouch. And just blam, blam, and he was totally worthless for the match. I pulled him out of the pouch, drug him down the ramp, and threw him in the ring, and he was pinned instantly. Totally took him out of the competition. And it was like, he was just like, why in the hell did you do that? And I'm like, to start a rivalry, because nobody was doing it. We were just wrestling. I mean, it was bonkers. We were having tag matches and all. It was just so stupid, bonkers fun. But yeah, that's
crazy.
yeah.
I would. That is not. That is not. That is the last thing on the list of RPGs out there. That was the last one on the list.
I told
The
you.
one that I didn't even know about. I didn't even like. Like, there's an RPG for wrestling. I shouldn't be surprised.
It was. Yeah, it was done through WWE. It's called Know Your Role, and yeah, it's a cool system. But yeah, everything is real. That's how you play it. Is everything actually happens? You can do vignettes. They had rules for shooting vignettes and promos and all kinds of stuff. It was crazy fun.
So I'm gonna have to ask a buddy of mine that is like my go-to wrestling fan. I'll have to go to Foley, about my buddy Foley, about that, and ask him if he's ever heard of it or played it before, and see if he has a tale to tell that might mirror your own.
Yeah,
that is.
I have a couple extra copies.
Hang on a second. You don't have extra copy. You have a couple of extra copies. That's wow.
Yeah.
He's ready.
That's
I'm ready.
awesome.
I'm ready. I went out and bought like one of those the heavyweight championship belts.
Oh my god, yes.
As a toy, the toy belts, to use as our federation belt. Oh yeah, it was just bonkers and stupid and fun. We would laugh. We just laughed our butts off the whole time, just doing crazy. Because you come up with your own wrestling moves. They have like lists of actual moves and how to do them, but then you could make your own.
Oh my gosh.
And
I yeah, I can see. All right, so let's do a quick recap here. Troy takes the cake for the most
Yeah, he
varied
does.
with Call of Cthulhu,
Shocker.
then Blade Runner / Alien / Soldier, and then Know Your Role.
That's right.
Amazing.
Wow.
Delightful.
So
That was a dark horse
Delightful.
entry right there, my friend.
That was.
Wow.
You jabronis can take that some bitch turn it up
Polish
sideways
it
and
up
shove
really
it up your
nice.
Rudy Poo candy ass.
Oh, and Bearjoy's totally right. That if it's Know Your Role, it's definitely like the 97, 98
Yeah.
to 2001 era, 100%.
Oh man, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, this was fun. I liked this. Kind of like the wish list items of games we'd like to run and play in. Like
Yeah.
and you're right though. Is that on brand? Is every single one on brand for Troy? 100%. Are all of them on brand for Zach? 100%. It's really is interesting to kind of like to flesh out our personalities on the air here, and like start to create this like almost like a branding of games and the kinds of games that we're interested in, the ones we want to play, and things like that. It really is. But it is comforting to know that there's definitely a lot of like crossover between the stuff that you want to play and run versus all three of us are really interested in playing the same thing.
Craig wins with that comment. Troy, get the tables.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I will say that I've been knocking things off the list. So, the list that I have this right now, I hope to knock a few of them off. If not this year, the next year. Dune was on my list of games that I really wanted to play. We're neck deep in a Dune campaign now, right? Like that feels good. I always wanted to run a Middle Earth game, and I've ran 2 of them, and now I get to play in one. So like, I feel like I'm crossing off those. I wanted to do an Alien game. I wanted to play that. I'm playing the second one now, right? Like, so I fully expect that this wish list is going to get smaller, in the future.
It's gonna keep growing. We're gonna find more stuff.
Let me rephrase that then. Perhaps things will drop off this list.
There you go.
Yes.
Be checked off this list. This isn't going to be stagnant. The one that's probably going to sit up there for a while is Edge of Empire, because there's a reason. There's a reason that Troy called it the guilty pleasure. Like, it just has to be perfect. It has to be. It has to be. But maybe that'll happen. So, all right. So let's wrap this sucker up with a couple little notes here at the end. First off, thanks a lot to chat. Lots of awesome notes and ideas and comments tonight. If you're listening to this as our podcast, thank you as well. Appreciate that. But we would love to have you interacting with us live, and there's plenty of room at this table. If you want to continue this conversation, tell us what your wish list is. You're welcome to do so by reaching out to us on Facebook, or head over to our Discord. Link is in the show notes of the podcast, or you can hit either one of us up, and we'll get it to you. And we have a lot of good chats that go on in there. This next week, we've got some big things on the horizon, don't we, sirs?
We do. I'm excited. Tuesday's going to be fun.
In 2 days, we've got Skeleton Key Games, which have a grab bag of different products and projects that I think we're going to have fun chatting with them about. Then, in 1 week, we have our next crowdfunding corner.
So get your wallets ready.
Get your wallets ready. And then on the 23rd, your pre-game for Thanksgiving. I think, like, I don't want to set the bar too high, but these guys are awesome, and delightful, and we're already having a great time with them just in our text chats. We're gonna have Levi Combs and Skeeter Green from DCC and like OSR Feel Games on our show to chat about a whole host of things. That's going to be a crazy episode.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Craig, I really appreciate that. Craig says we have inspired him to move and play and run some of the games off of his list. I appreciate that. Hopefully, we can all cross a few off.
Yeah, exactly.
Fellas, I think it probably should be said that we'd like to play some games with some of these folks in chat
Heck yeah.
and with each other at some point in the near future. I know chat's been asking about when we're going to be popping back into the VDDWs,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have a strong answer for that. But I think that there's going to be some opportunities on the horizon to play some different stuff with us.
Yes.
I know for a fact there's going to be a Merkborg game in the next 6 weeks. We'll put it that way. So keep your eye out for some stuff. We'll probably put some posts looking for players in the chat, and I'd like to bring some of you in. Anything else I should cover?
I don't think so. That's all I've got.
I don't think so.
Okay.
If anybody wants to be a part of the insane antics, yeah, Facebook, Discord, all down there in the doobly-doo. Hit us up.
Absolutely. So, all right, with that, I want to thank everybody who's been active in chat tonight. That's Girk, that's Craig, that's Beardroid, that's Ferristine, that's Darius. Darius is a new person,
Yeah.
first-time poster at least.
Yeah, welcome.
That's Joe. Joe, well, thanks for popping in there. It's
Yeah,
Mitch.
Kill-A-Lot. Mitch.
Kill-A-Lot. Y'all are
Ra-
awesome.
Rain Gem made it. Yay.
Yay, Rain Gem.
And she didn't have to spend any money this time.
There you go.
Just give it time.
It's a win.
Give
Yeah,
it
I
That
mean,
being
next
said, that being said, I would not be surprised if us just talking about things that we want to run doesn't end up costing somebody
Well, that
some
could
sort
be.
of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that you can get Know Your Role for pretty cheap.
Nobody wants to though, Troy.
I
Listen, there's a
think-
reason.
I put a link.
There's a-
I put a link in. I put a link into like the copy that I have, but then I found another link. Oddly enough, I've not seen this before. They redid it apparently.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
Interesting.
I think there must be a second edition.
Cool.
Have to
Troy's
check
like,
that out.
get my wallet out.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, chat. And until next week, we'll see you next time.
Have a great game, everybody.
Yep. You guys stay safe out there.
You guys, hang on. Before we go offline, you want to hear something crazy, Troy, just for you.
Okay.
I know one of the people who wrote Know Your Role.
Shut up.
Oh yeah. Who's that?
Cynthia Miller.
Really? On the new
Yeah.
one? Okay.
So let me it's a weird connection, all right? I don't know I'm going to be careful here cuz I don't know exactly where she lives, but she almost certainly lives close to my hometown.
Ooh.
And the person one of the guys that I worked with at the sign shop, one of the guys I hired, his name's Alex, hung out with her all the time
Huh.
and played games, and they went to conventions, and I think they shot a movie or something at some point, or he participate. I don't know. They had a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, like, you know, I think we met once maybe, but I worked side by side for a period of like 6 years with the guy who hung out with them all the time, the whole crew.
That's crazy.
With Spectrum Games, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a small world in
Isn't that
in
crazy?
games, man. Very small world.
That's funny. I used to talk to Tony Lee. He was one of the original. I don't know about the Cynthia Miller, but I remember talking to Tony Lee on the message boards about this game. That's how into this thing I was. I was on the message boards talking to these guys about stuff. I had questions. Yeah, definitely dark web stuff, Craig. Definitely dark web stuff. That's why we don't tell anybody else that we're talking about this. Um, but yeah, because you like I said, you could create your own moves and things like that. So I had a guy who made a character who was like a sumo type uh, themed wrestler, and took abilities and feats and things like that basically you could not knock him down. And if you can't knock him down, you can't
Pin him.
pin him, right?
Yeah.
And I had made the mistake of, in my rules for the Federation, championships can't change hands from a disqualification. And so he's like, well, nobody can knock me down to pin me, kind of a thing. And he basically he cheesed the rules. I mean, that was exactly what he did. He min maxed and cheesed the rules. So I got with on the message boards with Tony and a couple other people, and figured out how to also cheese the rules and beat him with a slap, an open-handed slap.
The slap heard around the world.
Yes, that's what it was called. And it was just stupid. So if I were to do this again, I would say, you can't do these kinds of super cheesed out things, but you know.
Tell you
Fascinating.
what, it's a bummer to me. Sidebar is I'm trying to find like the Mouse Guard RPG to purchase,
Hmm.
and it's like $70 to $100, or it's more than that for the hardcover if you want to get the hardcover. It's like apparently I'm assuming it's out of print. Maybe I don't know. Interesting. It was a bummer. Because I'll tell you what, I'm trying to think really, really hard about one I want to run at Winter Fantasy now. Like, do I have to run Adventurers League? Probably not. Do I want to run something else? Do I want to pull a Zach and do a threefer of like a track of those three games and run? Well, I probably wouldn't run Forbidden Lands because I just don't think that I'm the guy for it. But run Kids on Bikes and like a Mouse Guard. If I can't find Mouse Guard, I think there's like another one like Badgers and Warrens or something like that. There are other anthropomorphic small creature games that are out there that you could probably do. Look, there you go. Thank you, Girk. Did I miss this? How did I miss
Interesting.
it? Yeah. Interesting.
Well, that's it. That's it, chat. I just I had a little epiphany there as I was pulling up Know Your Role, and I'm like, oh, I know. I remember somebody talking about this now that I look at it.
Maybe it was 2005. Maybe it was just a different cover. I don't know. That's weird. That's interesting.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, shall we call it?
After I have laid my soul bare to all these people, yeah.
Oh man, look, there's no shame in that game, man. Not at all. Not a bit. It's very Troy.
It is very
Very
It's
Troy.
very Troy.
Well, all right.
You know what else is very Troy? It doesn't matter what else is very Troy.
Oh my God, there it is. I signed up for that one.
You did. We will see y'all later. Have a good night, everybody.
All right.